Hello friends, welcome to this session of Python programming. This session talks about the installation steps of Python on your system. We are going to discuss in details the installation process of Python on your systems, and then we will be writing our very first application in Python. So let's get started. Let's see the overview of this session, which deals with the installation of Python, writing our first Python demonstration. Finally, we have a set of small practice exercise for you so that you can have deeper understanding of Python programming. Let us set the stage for Python installation. A good news for Unix, Linux, and Mac OS users is that for most of these systems, you do not need to manually install Python on your system. That is so because Python is pre-installed and integrated with these systems itself. But for Windows operating system, user can download Python manually from its official website python.org. From its downloads page, you can easily download the required version of Python for your system. The latest version of Python IDE can be easily installed by navigating to the downloads page of python.org. The recent version may be 3.7.4, 3.8.0, or the latest 3.9.6. Python version is specified by the first character of its version number. Let's say if we talk about 3.7.4, then the first letter 3 specifies that we are trying to install Python 3 only. And if we talk about the version, say 2.7.17, then the first letter 2 specifies that we are talking about Python language version 2. There is a great set of difference between the two. That is, Python 3 is quite different from Python 2 in the syntax, in the conceptual things, and so on. I suggest all the users of this course to install Python version 3. You can install any version, Python 3.7.4 or Python 3.8.0, or say the latest version that is available on the Python website at the time you undergo this course. Most of the programs that we will develop in our course of time will be quite compatible with any of the Python 3 version that you download and install in your system. After installing the Python version, we can access the command line prompt through Start menu, and then we can navigate to the Python project folder. From there, we can go to Python command line. The prompt in the command line is represented by 3 greater than symbols. Let us get started and click on this link given on your system to navigate to python.org and see what latest version is available to us right now. If we click on this link, we will be redirected to python.org straight away. Here you can see Python 3.9.6 is the latest version that is available nowadays to the users. Python 3.9.6 is the latest version that is available nowadays for use by the users. The link straight away navigates you to the downloads page. Here you can see the latest version available. If you do not want to install 3.9.6, then you can click on your required operating system to see what were the previous releases of Python, and then you can download the installer available for them. Suppose we check it out for Windows operating system, then we can see The specification written is that Python 3.9.6 cannot be used on Windows 7 or earlier versions like XP or so on. In fact, this latest version has also deprecated Windows 7 for use. But the 3.8 versions or 3.7 versions, most of them could be used with 3.7 with Windows 7 and Windows XP. You can see the required software downloads is available in this page. You can download it for 32-bit also or 64-bit also. But it's always recommended that whenever you download the executable installer. The executable installer will download the executable file directly, clicking which you can directly start the installation process without the need to unzip or extract the files. So it's always recommended to install the executable installer of the required version. Let's get back to the steps of installation. After downloading the required version of Python, you can double-click the executable and start the installation process. As you can see on your screen, we have tried to download the latest version available at the time, say download Python 3.8.0. After this, the installation process starts. You can download any version required. 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, all three of them are compatible to each other. You can develop any application in any of these versions. You can download 32-bit or 64-bit installer, but as I said, the recommended is executable installer. So it is always better to directly get the executable installer on your system. As we progress with the installation, we are going to see different screens on our system that start with install process Python 3.7.4. Suppose I downloaded 3.7.4 64-bit. So the screen shows the procedure of installing this version. I always suggest to all the users to definitely check these two checkboxes for being selected. These two checkboxes must be selected. The first checkbox says install launcher for all users. That means whatever accounts are present on your system, may it be admin or some other user, both of these users will be eligible to be used for Python system. The second checkbox specifies adding Python version 3.7 to the path system variable. This step is very important because if you do not check this checkbox, the second one, then you have to manually set the path of Python to your system variables zone. So it's always better to check these two checkboxes to ease your work. In this way, the setup progresses. Finally, it gives you the message of setup successful. So this is how we can easily install Python on our Windows system. Now, if we want to access and see the command line of our Python installed, so how can we do that? We can move to the Start menu and access the Python folder. Let us see how to go about it. Now, let us try to visualize the command line. Let us go to the Start menu and search for Python here. So I write Python and see, directly I get to the result Python 3.7 32-bit. I can open it or I can run it as an administrator. Both specify no difference at this point of time. So I directly open it and see what we have reached to. We have reached to Python 3.7 32-bit command line interpreter. This is the prompt which helps you to write your Python code and execute it. Let us try to write our very first program in Python. the basic Hello World program in Python can be written in a single line. Suppose we want to output Hello World. How can we do that? The single line command present in Python to output any message is known as print command. We can write at this prompt print. This is the command that needed to be written to output anything. Let us put some parentheses. The parentheses specify that print is a method which is going to be called to output some message to the user. Within these brackets, within these parentheses, we can specify in double quotes any message that we want to write on our screen. I just maximize it for your usage. We can increase the font of our command line also. We can set the properties. Now I hope the users will be able to visualize the command line in a better way. The print command written here outputs the message to the user. Within these double quotes, I can print any message for the user. Suppose say, hello world, Python user. This single line will enable us to write and output the required message. What we need to do is, by the end of this code, just hit enter key. Yes, the output is given. By hitting the enter key, this line of code, print hello world Python user, is interpreted by the Python system. The Python interpreter not only debugs it, but also prints the output. The print method prints this particular output, the message that we had given within the parenthesis. In the next line, you can see the output. If the finals execution is successful, the output is given. The next liner again moves to the command line prompt. Here you can again write another code. Say print, parenthesis again, double quotes, by. Hit enter again. Now you can just see by. This way you can do multiple value outputting manipulation with your data. You can work on several simple codes in this command line interpreter. Anyways, in the course of time, we will be learning many more IDEs that will make your experience much more user-friendly and interactive. As of now, it's time for us to move on with some practice exercises for you, which will enable you to think logically, analytically. So let's get to the exercise part. So guys, now on your screens, you can see first exercise of this course. Now it's time for you for action. Let's talk about each of these questions one on one. The first question says, what is the difference between scripting language and programming language? You have already studied about scripting language and other programming languages like Java, C#, C, and so on. What your knowledge says about the difference between the two. Try to analyze the difference between these two types of languages. The next question says, why was Python developed? What arose the need for developing a language like Python that is so easy to use, that is easy to learn, that has such general purpose applications? Just think about it. Finally, some hands-on. I hope till now you have already installed Python on your systems and you have the way out to reach to Python interpreter. So on the command line, now you need to write welcome to Python. I hope you can easily do the task. With this, we come to end of this session. I hope you have really enjoyed this session with me. Just practice these exercises And in the next lecture, we are going to study further deeper concepts of Python. Till then, goodbye and happy learning.